The oxygen alarm didn't beep. It screamed shrill, stabbing sudden. My wife Sophia, 9 months pregnant, clawed at her mask, gasping like the air itself had abandoned her. And in that moment, standing in our darkened bedroom with the power deliberately cut, I realized this wasn't a malfunction. It was sabotage. The president of our HOA had declared war, and she'd chosen to do it by cutting off my wife's oxygen in the middle of labor. My name's Daniel Mercer. I'm an electrical engineer, third-generation Nevadan, and I thought I'd seen every kind of power play people could pull in these gated communities. I was wrong. This neighborhood Pinehurst Commons looked perfect from the outside rows of identical homes, manicured lawns, a playground by the rec center. But behind the smiles was an HOA president named Colleen Durrett. She had a clipboard for a sword and the bylaws for a shield, and she loved nothing more than swinging both at anyone who dared to be different. And I had a wife with weakened lungs after a nasty COVID complication years ago. We knew pregnancy would be risky, so I built her a backup system, solar-fed medical-grade inverter, and a dedicated line into our bedroom, her lifeline. The HOA didn't like it. Too visible, too unsightly, Colleen said. Never mind the doctor's letters, I attached the stamped engineering schematic, the ADA protections spelled out in black and white. No, to her it was non-compliant, and within days the letters started piling up: 14 citations, 11 fines, threats of board-led corrective action. They even photographed Sophia while she was using the oxygen tank and marked it as medical equipment cluttering the patio. Can you imagine? My wife, hunched over and struggling to breathe, turned into a line item in their violation log. At first I played it by the book. Calm replies highlighted municipal code patient explanations. I figured reason would win. But then came that night. The shriek of the oxygen alarm, the breaker flipped clean while I was out of the house, Sophia collapsing against the mattress with her hand on her belly. Our daughter wasn't due for 2 more weeks. She wasn't ready. Neither were we. And yet Colleen decided her crusade against visual clutter outweighed a woman's right to breathe. I scooped Sophia up, raced through the hallway past the shards of the soup bowl I'd dropped, carried her to the carport with her oxygen levels plummeting. That drive to the hospital blurred into sirens and shouts, magnesium drips, a team of doctors rushing to keep both my wife and my baby alive. And me, I made a promise right then, somewhere between the red lights of the ER and the triage wing, Colleen Durrett had picked a fight with the wrong family. But promises are easy when adrenaline's high. Coming back home alone was harder. I cleaned the broken ceramic in the hall, walked to the breaker box, and stared at the one switch flipped. Just one. The rest of the house glowing fine. My fridge humming, kitchen lights steady. Only that line, the one I had reinforced, labeled locked into a failover loop, was dead. And when I rubbed my thumb over the toggle, I felt oil. Not mine. Someone else's hand had touched it. Someone wearing gloves, no doubt. The HOA maintenance crew wore gloves like that. That night I sat on the porch swing Sophia had picked out last fall, the one we'd dreamed of rocking on with a newborn. Now it felt like a battlefield. The oxygen tube dangled useless clear plastic limp in the breeze. I didn't just feel angry, I felt hunted. They weren't just trying to erase a piece of conduit, they were trying to erase us. And for a while I thought maybe they were winning. The fines kept coming. The threats escalated. And I'll admit it, there was a night I sat there with my head in my hands, wondering if I was the fool, wondering if I should just pack up, sell out, leave Pinehurst Commons behind. Because what was I protecting? A swing, a house pride. Meanwhile, Sophia was hooked up to machines in a hospital bed, and our baby girl was fighting for her first breath. I felt like I had failed both of them by believing that playing fair was enough. But then something shifted. His name was Gregory Lorne. He'd been the HOA's groundskeeper for 30 years, a man who'd laid half the irrigation lines under our lawns. And I caught him one evening standing near the conduit I'd painted to match the stucco, fidgeting with his clipboard like it burned him. He didn't say much at first, just muttered something about routine perimeter checks. But his hands shook, his jaw clenched. And when I said softly, "You were there when my wife almost died," He didn't deny it. He looked at the sky like he wanted permission to speak, and finally he whispered, "I didn't sign up to watch someone die." That was the crack in the dam. Later, in a quiet parking lot by the rec center, Gregory admitted what I'd already suspected. Colleen had sent him with a work order shut off unauthorized auxiliary power at Unit 17. He hesitated, told her it was a medical line, and she told him, "That's not our concern." Then she pulled gloves from her bag and did it herself. He couldn't watch, so he walked away, but he knew. He'd been carrying that weight ever since. He handed me a brass key to the rec center's back maintenance room. "There's a service log inside," he said. "Her name's in it." That was all I needed. I unlocked that dusty little room, found the HOA sub-panel map with a red slash through my unit, non-conforming, scrawled across it. I found a tampered torque seal on the breaker, faint scratches that matched the ones on my home panel. I photographed everything. I swabbed the scrape marks like I was processing a crime scene because that's what it was. And when I cross-referenced Gregory's signed work order time-stamped the same morning with the inverter logs from my system showing manual disengage at 11:46 a.m., it all lined up like a circuit closing. That night I sat in my office surrounded by binders, photos, and letters. And for the first time I didn't just see chaos. I saw a case. I uploaded everything to the Nevada Public Utilities Commission portal, the breaker scratches, the logs, the medical documentation, the photos of Colleen's forged schematics. Then I filled out a second form for the Attorney General's Utility Crime Division. 2 reports, 2 ticking clocks. And when the emails came back, investigation initiated. Preliminary inquiry opened. I felt the ground shift under Colleen's feet. Still, evidence is one thing. Courage is another. And the true test came at the community hall under the fluorescent lights with the whole neighborhood gathered. Colleen sat at the center of the board's folding tables, manicured hands adjusting her mic voice, smooth as silk. "We'll now hear from Mr. Mercer regarding infrastructure concerns." She gave me 5 minutes. I only needed 2. I dropped the binder on the table with a heavy thud. Pages opened to diagrams of the junction box highlighted in red where my line had been targeted. Photos of tampered seals, scrape marks, technical assessments. I laid down a certified report from a systems auditor, then slid an envelope forward. Inside I said, "Calm Steady," is an audio clip pulled from my home camera system. Seconds before my wife's oxygen was cut, you can hear Ms. Durrett's voice. She says, and I quote, "If he wants to make this difficult, he'll learn the cost." The room went silent. Colleen's lips parted, but no words came. And then Gregory stood up from the back wall, walked forward without a single paper in his hand, and spoke. "I was there. She ordered the shutdown. I told her it powered a medical device. She said it wasn't our concern." Gasps spread through the room. He looked not at Colleen, but at the neighbors, the people he'd mowed lawns for and fixed sprinklers for 3 decades. I should have spoken sooner. I'm sorry, but I won't stay silent now. Something broke open then. Mrs. Singh from 2 houses down stood up. "They fined me for Diwali lights," a man in the second row. "They threatened to tow my car while my husband was in the hospital." Another voice. "They told me I couldn't have a service dog." One after another the stories poured out. And for the first time, Colleen wasn't the one controlling the room. She was drowning in it. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I flipped to the final page of the binder, 2 official emails stamped with state seals. The Nevada Public Utilities Commission and the Office of the Attorney General have both opened formal investigations into this board. Effective immediately, you are no longer untouchable. Colleen went pale. The woman who had weaponized rules, who had built her little empire on fear and silence, sat frozen while the walls closed in. Within a week, the state suspended the board. Colleen was stripped of her position, barred from serving in any housing authority for the next decade, and named in an active criminal probe for utility tampering and gross negligence. The judge in our civil case didn't mince words. If that oxygen cutoff had delayed paramedics by even 2 minutes, we'd be discussing this in a criminal court. And that's where my story ends. Not with balloons or backyard barbecues, not with a perfect Hollywood wrap-up, but right there in that courtroom watching Colleen's power drain out of her the way she tried to drain the air from my wife's lungs. The lesson: tyrants don't fall on their own. You have to document, you have to speak, you have to act, because silence is the very thing that lets them keep breathing.